Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for coming to another 4-H Interviews with Pros. Tonight, we have with us Kyla Kazol, a UX UI developer from KPI Fire. She has a bachelor's degree in marketing and a bachelor of fine arts from the University of Montana and is a Utah 4-H alumni. Interviewing Kyla, we have Ryan Pace. He's a 4-H team leader from Box Elder County, and he focuses on STEM. Ryan, I'm going to turn the time over to you.
All right. Um, Thank you for coming and doing this with us, Kyla. Yes, my first question, what do you do as a coder? Like what's a typical day at your job?
Yeah, so there are a lot of diverse roles with software development, and my role is a UX UI developer. I also have some responsibilities. More of my responsibilities are a project manager, so I manage our other developers. But UX UI stands for user experience and user interface. So I end up doing all of the design work, and I design any sort of like business problem that we want to solve with our software. I design what that looks like for our software. And then my developers implement it. And then I go ahead and I do all the quality testing and make sure that it works within our app and that there aren't any bugs, and we review the code together. So my job personally is understanding the code and being able to quality check the code and being able to create solutions within I guess within the possibilities of what our code can do. So yeah, my day to day is doing a lot of design work, a lot of discussions about how to solve problems with our app, and a ton of testing. I click buttons and press refresh so many times a day. I never thought I would do that. That's my day.
All right, that's interesting. What do you like? What makes you excited about your job?
A lot of things. Software, it can do so much and it can solve so many problems. I think the coolest part of actually creating, so our our software KPI Fire is a SaaS, it's a software as a service. And so we are creating software that other people are using to solve their day-to-day problems. And it's really fun being able to create something that is actually helping somebody else do their work better. So we're just problem solving all day. And within our team, we're even problem solving like, how do we do our work better? Because the better we do our work, the better it works for our customers. You know, if we write poor code, then the app doesn't run quickly. And if the app doesn't run quickly, then our tool is useless. So I think it's really fun having a team where our main focus is just always problem solving.
All right. That's cool. Did you have any like interests in your youth that like aligns with what you do today? Is there anything that correlates?
So not I mean I don't code in my spare time. I don't take on hobbies for coding. I think coding is fascinating because I like how it stretches your mind. Like I like having something where there's patterns to it, there's rules to it, and again, you're just problem solving. So it uses that like critical thinking aspect. I have a marketing and art background, and so I think constantly about human behavior. And then design is, how do people perceive things and then interact with it? So for me, this is a really cool and progressive industry to apply those interests. I think that's something that software development is really special, is that it's in every single industry. You can use it in any way. And so being able to be involved with software, it just means that you have versatility and flexibility to do, I don't know, be involved in whatever area you're interested in. Also, my background actually has informed the product that I work on. So KPI Fire helps provide business solutions. So having a business understanding, we're making tools that actually help people manage their business and manage their projects, and even keep track of like if they're doing well at what they're improving. So I think it's all just kind of informed it, and software development has just kind of been a place where kind of everything can come together for me. So it's been more of a tool to get to my interests.
Okay, that makes sense.
Mhm.
Um, what type of education did you have to so that you could become a coder?
So mine's been, besides my formal education with my marketing and my fine art degree, um, my, yeah, like I said, the marketing taught me the business end of it. The art degree actually taught me a ton. So this is a big thing of like, follow what you're interested in, because I got hired at a software company because I was an artist. And my artistic eye meant that other people could understand how to use software, right? Because I understand visual things. Um, and so the other education that helped with that is part of my marketing. I got into website design, and that was like a really nice midway point of marketing and software. And so I learned how to use websites and work with companies, and that was informative. And then after school, I actually took a software boot camp because I wanted to learn the code. And it was, again, just like something that I needed to put in my tool belt so that I could do more things that I wanted to do. So I did a full stack software development boot camp, learned front and back end languages. And then I got hired within 3 weeks of finishing that. So,
Wow, that's cool. Um, what would you say is the average pay for a person in your field?
so starting out with some like getting into software with coding experience or just knowledge, I would say baseline, like really, really baseline would be like 40,000 a year. And the most average is you can expect to find a job at 50,000 a year starting out, like your first job, 50,000. And then once you get senior and into different areas, you can have a salary anywhere from 60,000 to 120,000 to, if you
Oh,
continue to be a software developer and a senior developer, and even if you get like further education too, there's software developers that can make upwards of like $300,000. Like they
oh,
make buco bucks if that's what you're like very, very passionate about and you love it. You can definitely earn a ton of money in software development because any industry needs you.
mhm.
It's
Yeah.
super flexible.
Okay, that's really cool. Um, yeah.
You're
Um,
excited. Yeah.
ooh, um, so what types of skills do you need to be successful as a coder?
So this is the unexpected skill. The well, okay, standard skill, you need to be a critical thinker. You need to be able to think about stuff and really be committed to finding solutions. And even if these are like the hard skills, is you need to be able to read code, and understand the really important thing is understand how computers work. Like if get a basic foundation because that's going to inform how your code works. So basic information, how to get hired at a company and make you stand out as a developer is to have soft skills, which are communication. And this is something
Mhm.
that is probably in every single industry because unless you are working alone and you're making money for yourself in some way, you need to communicate with people. And people look for good communicators on their team because you're generally working with a team for problems. And we all get stuck, we all get hung up on things. And you are a stronger team if you know how to communicate with your teammates to get help when you need it and how to communicate problems and stuff. So, soft skills, that's the most important thing,
Okay.
along with your hard skills.
All right. Would you say like when you're actually, writing code and stuff, would you say that you have to have a lot of patience?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Because well, if you're impatient, you're not going to get it done.
Mhm.
You're going to have problems and you're going to get frustrated. And yeah, you're going to spend more time testing it and wondering where your bugs are coming from rather than just doing it right the first time. So
Yeah.
being patient and doing quality work means you get through tasks faster, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Um, what would you what are some of the biggest like challenges you had to face as a coder?
It's really intimidating getting into the coding industry because uh, people are really competitive in this
Mhm.
industry, and people climb really quickly by taking on projects, doing I don't know, jumping companies. They do all sorts of stuff. It can be really competitive, and they look for a decent amount of experience and knowledge from the get-go. But there is a niche for anybody that wants to get into it. And like I said, I got hired because I'm an artist and I understood code. And now I'm
Yeah.
and now I'm managing our whole team of developers. So,
Oh,
it's like you can get in there if you know what your strengths are. And I think it's really intimidating in any job process or any industry when you look at the qualifications and you're like, wow, am I the most qualified for this? And yeah, you just have to find the right opportunity for yourself.
okay. Um, what would you say is like the most valuable reward you've gotten from this career?
It's fast paced. It's really fast paced. Um, I am at a fairly young company and we are growing. Well, my company is not young, my product is young. So we have like a parent company, and we own several different productivity software. And the product that I'm on, KPI Fire, is pretty young. And this year, I was like one of our first kind of people in this growth cycle. And since then, we've added like 5 full-time employees, and the requests are always changing every single day. The bugs are different every day, and the problems that we're trying to solve are different, and even my management responsibilities are different every single day because software can grow so quickly. So it's really a fast-paced industry, and I think that's just the nature of technology, and that's why it excites people, is that it's always changing.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah,
been
yeah, that's really true. Um, what what language, like what coding language would you say you work with the most?
So depending on your software, there's generally like a code stack for each software that, depending on how old it is, you kind of get stuck in a code stack. And so ours is a little bit outdated, but I don't know, there's new and innovative ways to work with old code, and people are constantly working with it. Ours, this sounds funny to even mention it, but HTML is something that you need to understand. That's just how you build basic pages. It's like your templates. So you have to know HTML. And then we're actually in JavaScript, which is JavaScript 1. And we also use Node.js, and those are our basic ones. And then because we're handling customer data, we also have databases that you need to understand how to write queries to databases. So we use MySQL, Mongo, and then we're also connected to AWS. And those are, I guess that's our servers. So you kind of, again, back to like understanding how they all work together. Um, yeah, that's like a full system, what we're working in. And our languages are, I guess, yeah, HTML, JavaScript, Node.js.
Okay. So yeah, you kind of have a lot to work with there, don't you?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
For sure.
that's um what advice would you have for somebody that wants to do what you do to that wants to go into your career?
So I think something, I guess, because like I said, my career is really diverse. Like software can be applied to anything. So if you just go into software for the sake of software, that's fine if that's like your primary interest. But if you aren't a diehard coder and that's not what you want to do all the time, but you want to be involved with software, then I would say just figure out what interests you and learn a lot, because the more you learn, like the more powerful of a tool you are. And I mean, this is coming from 4-H. I learned a lot of communication skills through 4-H, and my communication skills and then my art skills have been what has given me an edge in the software industry. So finding something that you are excited about and then finding an opportunity that works for you, and then just continuing to learn what you want to learn. Like I think a lot of there's a ton of paths that want to say like you go XYZ, and you get to where you're trying to go. But I think if you are dedicated to learning something that you're interested in, it'll make you a really strong asset to some team out there. But you just get good at something, and get good at learning, I think is really, especially in technology, get really good at learning, because you're constantly learning and changing what you're doing.
All right, awesome. Well, that's all the questions I have. So thank you for answering all of them.
You're welcome.
Okay, I actually have one more for you, Kyla. I know that you had 4-H growing up. You were part of 4-H growing up, and you did mention this a little bit, but can you speak a little bit about thinking back to your 4-H experience? And I know you said communication and problem solving, but I think it's interesting that you actually grew up in horse 4-H, right? You did horse 4-H and livestock stuff. So it
Yeah.
wasn't necessarily STEM. Yeah. So can you talk to us a little bit more about how the skills that you learned in those project areas kind of helped you along the way, along your education and what you do now?
Sure. I mean, Ryan asked me if it takes patience to be in this industry. And I mean, patience, sure, but I think dedication. And so when you take on a responsibility and you see it through, and raising animals teaches you that when you take on a responsibility, it's there every single day and you don't walk away from it. So yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, is learning how to get into something and see it through, and like really, yeah, understand how to stay committed to something. That's important.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, thank you so much. And thank you both. So thank you so much, Kyla, for your time. And thank you so much, Ryan. That was awesome. You did a great job. I just want to let you all know that USU offers computer science and software development courses. They offer a bachelor's degree and graduate courses, and we'll post links to their programs in the comments on this video. And then also, just so you're aware, US News ranked software development as the #1 best job going forward in 2019. Kyla's nodding, so that's a good stamp of approval. And they base that on job growth, salary, job prospects, employment rate, stress level, and work-life balance. So it's kind of a amazing all the way around. Were you going to say something about that, Kyla?
Yeah. Also, pandemic, everybody in software, most people work from home. Very versatile. Yeah.
There you go. That's a great point. So, anyways, thank you both again so much for your time. I really appreciate it, and we are good. Talk to you later.